Tonight on CFTK-TV News, there's an update on the former co-op piece of land in Terrace. The BC RCMP have announced several other major drug busts, and we have more word on the investigation into Donald Trump's pick to run the Justice Department.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Good evening, I'm Cal Maslin, and here's what's making the news in the Northwest and beyond for today. For quite some time now, a piece of land has been vacant on Gregg Avenue in Terrace, untouched in the city's downtown core. But this past spring, the Métis Nation of BC purchased the co-op lands for $1.27 million from the city of Terrace, located at the corner of Gregg and Caleb Street. 2.8 acres of construction is now underway at 4617 Gregg Avenue, and a daycare center will be the starting piece. The daycare construction is expected to be finished by the spring of 2025. The District of Kitimat has announced that a new floating wheel will be installed at Minette Bay West Park. The installation of the project will start on December 4th and is set to open up marine access for small watercraft such as kayaks or canoes. While the work is underway, Minette Bay West Park will be closing and should be closed off until the start of the new year. This morning, the National Wa'ilitus Indigenous Council put out a report to approve solutions for a clean energy landscape. This published is to give guidelines in place for Indigenous voices so that they can have more say when it comes to Canada's climate strategy, policy, and legislation. Much of the group found that through the government may have adopted a climate change policy and wants to diminish carbon reduction, they still think Canada has a long way to go. Out of the Climate Change Performance Index, Canada ranks 62nd out of 67 countries. In 2022, the Government of Canada invested a total of $300 million in the Wa'ilitus for transitioning from fossil fuels into renewable energy, focusing on the challenges that the communities may face. On this upcoming November 23rd, the Terrace Community Band will be making its way to the REM Lee Theatre for a concert that will officially kick off year number 42 of their existence. People wanting to attend the concert will not be charged an admission fee, but instead they will have to give away something as a donation, with the concert starting by 7:30 p.m. Donations for entry can also be made at events at Misty River Books, and the theme for this concert this go-around is said to be ambient fantasies. Other places and times that you can see this band perform include at the yearly July 1st Canada Day celebration located at the Terrace Fire Hall, as well as another annual event, the Prince Rupert Seafest Community Celebration. For the third straight week, RCMP are revealing details of major drug busts involving millions of dollars of potentially deadly fentanyl. Like the previous two, there have been few arrests and no charges. And as CTV's Shannon Patterson reports, this time police are driving home the message of prevention.
36 kilos of fentanyl, 23 kilos of methamphetamine, and 20 kilos of cocaine. This is just part of one of the largest drug seizures in Surrey RCMP history.
From my time here, almost 20 years in the drug unit, so I would say it's in the top three.
The mountains of drugs, 6 prohibited firearms, and $119,000 in cash were seized when the drug unit executed search warrants at 7 properties in Surrey, Coquitlam, New Westminster, Vancouver, and Richmond.
This investigation began at the street level and moved up the supply chain to the wholesalers and distributors of the drugs you see here before us.
Despite the volume of drugs and sophistication of the operation, only 3 people were arrested and released pending charges.
Crown's going to have to go through all the evidence, and ultimately they have the decision here on who gets charged and who doesn't get charged.
This bust comes on the heels of an RCMP raid of Canada's largest drug super lab on a rural property near Kamloops and another large seizure in Surrey, both linked to Mexican cartels. This one is thought to involve local dealers and local users.
This is not safe. This can't be made safe. The use of these drugs is not safe.
Surrey's Assistant Commissioner says while police are trying to curtail the supply side of the drug trade, the demand rages on.
As much as we talk about treatment, we also need to talk about prevention. Preventing our children, our families, our brothers, our sisters, from going down the road of using these drugs.
The raw drugs seized in this operation were enough to manufacture at least 300,000 doses of potentially deadly fentanyl.
You know, you're probably around $7 million worth of at street level.
This operation has been shut down or severely curtailed, but many dealers see busts like these as the cost of doing business. Shannon Patterson, CTV News, Surrey.
Coming up next, a UBC class instructor's rant has brought forth some serious backlash. Welcome back. The BC RCMP have just revealed that they are rolling out body-worn cameras to 6 different communities in British Columbia. This is the largest rollout of any police agency, with more than 3,000 cameras to be deployed over the next 12 to 18 months, though no communities in the Northwest will be acquiring these cameras. Prince George will be receiving them, as well as Fort St. John in January 2025. The other communities receiving them are Tofino, Mission, Cranbrook, the Cranbrook Highway Patrol, Kamloops, and again Prince George. Deputy Commissioner Dwayne McDonald cited that the RCMP will see benefits in officer safety, and it should set a standard for all officers around the country. Jewish groups are calling for UBC to take serious action after a recording was leaked of an instructor in class going on an anti-Israel rant. The professor also encourages support and donations for the students from pro-Palestinian causes. Kevin Chirac has the story.
A UBC instructor facing backlash following a 12-minute anti-Israel rant during a global issues in social justice class from mid-September.
This is a form of ethnic cleansing that is called unchilding and reproductive genocide. You kill the women, you kill the mothers, you kill the children.
Litsa Chatzi-Vasileu also claimed Israel targets women, children, and hospitals for profit.
It's very simple. It's because the arms corporations are making tons of money from genocide.
Screenshots also show communication from the instructor to students promoting a pro-Palestinian rally and a petition to list the Israeli army as a terrorist organization. The Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs urging UBC to take action.
This professor should not be teaching and should be separated from her role at UBC.
Part of a statement from the Jewish Academic Alliance of BC reads, "We believe that the classroom is a place that should foster critical thinking and that should allow students freely to come to their own conclusion and express themselves and to be heard by others without embarrassment or fear. Where faculty fail to do that, it is essential that the university enforces its own standards and ideals, and we call upon UBC to do so."
The person who recorded the lecture didn't want to appear in our story for fear of their safety on campus.
We've certainly seen a rise in anti-Semitic incidents.
Ohad Gavrieli runs Hillel House at UBC, described as a Jewish home away from home.
Prior to October 7, 2023, we would get a few incidents, a few reports here and there, but now we're seeing in some weeks it's on a daily basis.
UBC denied our request for an interview, saying the university is aware of concerns regarding Dr. Litsa Chatzi-Vasileu's lecture and is looking into the matter in accordance with our policies and procedures. CTV News has learned Chatzi-Vasileu is still teaching. She did not respond to our request for comment. Kevin Chirac, CTV News, Vancouver.
A major cleanup is underway after the emergence of a bomb cyclone, which brought winds of up to 170 kilometers an hour in some places in BC, and the damage left behind is quite widespread. Over to CTV's Rob Buffum with more.
The cleanup is well underway after a night of chaos, including near Souk, where a massive tree toppled onto this home.
6 p.m. we just heard a large crash and a boom,
leaving its owners with a night full of worry but no sleep.
After that, it was listening to this tree settling, which was what's going to happen, like how bad is this going to get.
Last night's bomb cyclone left a path of destruction in its wake across Vancouver Island. Winds gusting up to 170 kilometers off the coast of the island, knocking down trees, across roads, snapping power lines, and creating havoc with highways.
Watched a few cars smash through some trees and branches and left on the side of the road.
The fierce wind lifted and tossed this small aircraft off the Courtney airstrip like a toy plane. and sent large branches flying, shutting down Highway 4 where traffic was backed up today, cutting off communities like Port Alberni from the rest of the island. Meanwhile, old-growth trees that fell near Tofino left folks there stranded overnight.
Basically cut Tofino in half on the highway, and so people couldn't get through either to get home or get downtown last night. Some had to walk around, some crawled around through the bush, and other people slept in their trucks.
At its peak, the storm left 150,000 homes on Vancouver Island dark.
From Port Renfrew to Port Hardy, it hit basically every community on the island. We had crews working throughout the night. We had brought crews over from the mainland before the storm hit.
A fleet of BC Hydro trucks boarded BC ferries to help restore power to the remaining 75,000 customers still without power. A task predicted to take days. Winds were still strong in Victoria by midday, but dissipating. A reprieve before another storm was expected to blast here Friday morning.
Similar to what we just saw, right now we're just tabulating exactly how strong those winds will be.
As Islanders brace for a storm season that's hitting its stride.
Turning to tonight's weather, the North Coast will see some clearer skies at a low at -2 degrees. The Terrace-Kitimat area will also have clearing conditions, but with a low of -5 degrees. And the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District is set to deal with partly cloudy conditions at a low of -14 degrees. On the North Coast, the week for them will see quite a few sunny conditions, albeit with a few clouds mixed in, as the high shifts from 4 to 0 degrees. In the Terrace-Kitimat area, the next week or so will also deal with a few sunny days, also with clouds appearing every now and then, plus the high will move from -1 to -7 degrees. And in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, the upcoming week will be home to some purely sunny days, a few mixed sun and cloud days, plus a fully snowy day, as the high bounces between -7 and -11 degrees. Checking out the highways now, visit Drive BC for the latest and up-to-date conditions, and as always, drive safe out there. On Highway 16, there is slippery sections, utility work, and compact snow. Highway 35 has slippery sections, and Highway 118 has some slippery sections too. Highway 37 has some roadside brushing, slippery sections, utility work, and tree pruning. Highway 37A also has slippery sections, some more slippery sections on the Nishka Highway, and the Telegraph Creek Road has slippery sections as well. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, Taylor Swift fans are devising interesting tactics to get tickets to her Eras Tour. Welcome back. Taylor Swift will be performing in Vancouver in about 2 weeks to wrap up her Eras Tour. However, some fans are still desperate to get a ticket to her show, even going as far as offering free accommodations in exchange for a seat. CTV's Isabella Zavarisi has more.
But I'm willing to exchange my apartment for that weekend for tickets.
Jackie Rise says she wouldn't do this for any artist other than Taylor Swift.
Obviously, like a lot of people in the city right now, it's a frenzy to get Taylor Swift Eras tickets.
With the cost of tickets running into the thousands, Rai felt she had no other options. She decided to offer up her downtown apartment for a coveted ticket to the show.
I'm a Swiftie, and if we're willing to pay thousands for tickets, I'm willing to give up my apartment for tickets.
The head of the Tourism Industry Association of BC says Rai's idea reminds him of the 2010 Olympics, when people came up with innovative rooming options because of pricey hotel rooms.
I think people are creative when it comes to whether it's home exchanges for tickets, and hopefully we'll see a whole group of people coming from out of town that enjoy Vancouver during that time.
One of those people coming to the city from Chicago is Dan Rosen and his daughter. In January, Rosen booked a suite at Worldmark Vancouver, the Canadian, only to be told Monday that as a result of a technical issue, it was unable to accommodate his reservation.
They told me less than 3 weeks before my arrival date that this was going to happen. And that's really not right.
CTV News reached out to parent company Wyndham Destinations for comment. In an email, the company said, quote, "We were able to track down the booking you referenced and secure their original reservation. Thank you for bringing this to our attention."
I know it's crazy, but it could be really cute. Let me know.
Meanwhile, Rise says she hasn't had any real leads yet, but is hopeful someone will take her up on the offer.
If you guys are Taylor Swift fans, then you guys know that this will never come again. So we will do anything, which is a little crazy. But what's crazier, giving up my apartment or spending $4,000 to $5,000, $6,000 on tickets?
Isabella Zavarisi, CTV News, Vancouver.
A backyard hockey rink that was at the center of a years-long community dispute is now set to be dismantled. The man who built it using his life savings reluctantly agreed to remove the rink in the face of a court order, a decision that brought relief to some of his neighbors. CTV's Natalie Johnson has the story.
You have the rink done by a company called My Backyard Rinks.
Martin Ross is the first to admit that his backyard rink,
The glycol runs through those lines right there.
is a cut above the standard shinny shanty.
It's a beautiful outdoor rink that's kind of done properly. It's not your typical, 2x4 boards with a tarp thrown down.
A hockey haven in the back half of his massive backyard that has become the subject of a years-long dispute with both neighbors and the city.
Nightmare.
Tell me about that.
Yeah.
Ross lives in Markham's scenic Unionville, and his home has heritage designation. And so when he put up the rink during the pandemic without permission,
I did this for my kids.
it wasn't long before the city stepped in.
They are indeed the 600-pound gorilla to fight against.
Some neighbors incensed about Ross's overhaul of the heritage property, along with the noise and all the errant pucks that they say has come with the rink.
This gentleman has completely destroyed what was a gorgeous backyard full of greenery that supported privacy and quiet for the surrounding neighbors. And without permits, he went ahead and tore down massive 100-year-old trees and has turned it into a parking lot.
Ross admits he was wrong to cut down the trees, but has been fighting for his right to the rink. 2 years ago, a Superior Court ruled that the city of Markham can legally step in to remove it. Ross's recent attempt at an injunction was dismissed.
Mr. Ross has felt all the way along that he's above the law, that bylaws don't apply to him.
The city of Markham telling CTV News in a statement that its lawyers and Ross have reached an agreement to restore the property to pre-2021 conditions. The remediation work will be carried out by the homeowner. Ross says he's preparing to reluctantly remove the rink.
Would we have Wayne Gretzky today if Walter Gretzky didn't build the backyard rink that he built?
Natalie Johnson, CTV News.
All eyes were on Capitol Hill as the House Ethics Committee met to discuss whether to release the report on the investigation into former Congressman Matt Gaetz, President-elect Trump's pick to lead the Justice Department. This comes as Vice President-elect J.D. Vance tries to drum up support for the more controversial Trump administration picks. NBC's Alice Barr reports.
In a public push for President-elect Trump's embattled pick for Attorney General Matt Gaetz, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance joining the former congressman on Capitol Hill, sitting down with the Republican senators who'll decide whether to confirm him.
People should meet and go through a respectful professional process. It's pretty straightforward.
No rubber stamps and no lynch mob. I'm not going to be part of a process that leaks information that shouldn't be leaked.
That as the bipartisan House Ethics Committee met behind closed doors about whether to release results of an investigation into allegations of sexual misconduct and drug use that Gaetz forcefully denies. The investigation ended when he resigned from the House last week, and House Speaker Mike Johnson has publicly argued the report about a now private citizen should stay private. The committee's Republican chair today saying that report has not gone through the review process.
I have some reservations about releasing any report.
The committee's top Democrat pushing back.
I have previously stated I think the report should be released. That's my entire comment.
President-elect Trump standing by Gaetz as he keeps naming administration picks, tapping former World Wrestling Entertainment executive Linda McMahon to lead the Department of Education, which he campaigned on shutting down.
Sending all education and education work and needs back to the states.
In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And now we turn our attention to how the stock markets are looking today compared to yesterday. The Canadian dollar is up 17/10 of a cent. The price of gold is up $23.20. Oil is up $1.35. Natural gas is up 9 cents. Aluminum is up $71.50. In Toronto, the TSX is up 354.22 points. The Venture Index is up 2.86. In New York, the Dow Jones is up 461.88, and NASDAQ is up 6.28. Still ahead, the Canucks have gotten some promising news in spite of their latest losses. Welcome back. The Vancouver Canucks can't get out of their hometown any faster. Despite playing one of their most entertaining games of the season so far, they lost on home ice yet again to the New York Rangers after learning that JT Miller will be out indefinitely. But the team did get some good news about another star player. Here's CTV's Ben Nesbitt with this week's Ringside Report.
Rangers trying to set up, put it in front. Smith dishes off. They score!
A homestand to forget. After Tuesday's loss to the Rangers, the Canucks have won just 3 out of 11 games at Rogers Arena this season.
It's a long year and 60-something games left. And as far as tonight, I think we're right there and just gotta, rebound and refocus on what we can control.
Vancouver will be without the guy viewed by many as the heartbeat of the team, JT Miller, who will miss the club's upcoming 6-game road trip for personal reasons. The Canucks are also without their top goal scorer from last year, Brock Besser, who remained sidelined with a concussion.
This is a massive test of their team culture. This is a massive test of their team defense. And they're going to need some guys to step up and fill the void that JT Miller and Brock Besser have left.
The team did get some positive news, however. Goaltender Thatcher Demko, who continues to ramp up towards a return, told the media he's feeling great, but still no timetable for when he'll make his first start of the season.
I can't feel good and go back into game action and then have a setback 2 weeks into playing. And I gotta put this thing through hell and know that I can kind of sustain that and withstand just the pressures of being in the NHL every day.
As the Canucks tread through their biggest stretch of adversity in the Rick Tocchet era, the bench boss is calling on those who are available to step up.
You got to hold the fort. Everybody's got to grab a pail, and and empty some water in the boat.
Next up, a Saturday matchup with the Senators in Ottawa. Ben Nesbitt, CTV News, Vancouver.
The City of Vancouver is warning the public about anticipated traffic delays as well as walking and cycling detours around Cambie Street this week. It said in a news release that the disruptions will continue until the spring, when rehabilitation work on the bridge deck is expected to be fully completed. The city says the number of lanes open will vary as the work progresses, but at least one lane in each direction will always be open. It says that the bridge will be accessible for pedestrians and cyclists, but bike lanes and sidewalks on one side of the bridge may be closed at certain times. That is all of our news for right now. From all of us here at CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin, and thank you for watching. We will see you next time.